Hello fellow simmers and welcome to my speed build. So today we are in Forgotten Hollow. We are building a Victorian home on the Widowshild Townhome lot. So originally I was going to build a different lot type instead of just a residential house. And I randomized it and the first thing I got was a beach and I'm like, I really don't think that's going to work at all for Forgotten Hollow. So I spun again, and the second time I got the onsen bathhouse. And I was like, okay, that's kind of a weird mixture, Forgotten Hollow with the vampire pack and the onsen bathhouse from the Snowy Escape Japanese inspired pack. But we'll work with it. We'll look into it. So I Googled an onsen bathhouse just because, I kind of know what a bathhouse looks like. I watch anime. I've seen it in the cartoons and whatnot. But I really wanted to get a feel for what the structure of the house looks like. Or the building, not really the house. But what the structures look like. And just get a feel for the Japanese architectural style. And I was like, okay, no, this isn't going to work. So instead, I decided to just Google a Victorian home, right? Because we're in Forgotten Hollow. The other houses in this world are Victorian styled. So I was like, whatever, we'll just do something simple this time. So I go to Google Victorian home and I finish typing Victorian and the Google predictions pops down Victorian bathhouse. And I'm like, what? Okay, so curious, I went ahead and, clicked that and hit enter and searched for it. And I got two different results, and I thought both of them were really interesting, so I wanted to share. So the first is that in London, there is a building called the Victorian Bathhouse, and it was built in 1895, and it's just like a little venue where you can go and it's Victorian, it's decorated in a Victorian style, and it's just like this really old venue. You go there to have drinks, whatever. But it survived the London Blitz, from World War II, and it also survived all the surrounding redevelopment that I'm assuming just, happened afterward. And, just as things have been modernized. So it's still there. It's really tiny. It can seat 90 people. Or, no, it might have been a little over 90. But either way, really small, really cool looking. I'll provide a link to their website in the description. But I just thought that was really fun. And then the other thing that I found was that January 11th, so I'm recording on the 16th right now. So on January 11th, I found a Smithsonian news article on Google where they found a literal Victorian bathhouse. It was a bathhouse that was built during the 1800s. It was more than 150 years ago. But it was used by textile factory workers. So I thought that was really cool. Let's see, I've got the article pulled up. So yeah, the baths opened in 1857, offering much-needed bathing and laundry services for workers during the city's heyday as a center of industrial textile production. The facility included male and female pools, the largest of which measured 62 feet. And it kind of talks a little bit more about it, the excavation, a little bit more of the history, but I found it really interesting. I've always loved archaeology. If I could go to school for anything and know that I would be hired afterward, I would have gone for archaeology because I really just love it. But not that I'm an expert or anything. I find random things and I read it, and I've always been super interested. But anyway, there you go. Fun stuff. I'll provide a link to this one in the description as well. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the build. So I've got the shell done. I've got it painted. I am using the, what's the pack for the vampires called? Vampires. It's just called Vampires. Okay. Anyway, so I'm using that pack, the base game, and I think that's pretty much all I really used except for the wall on the third floor. Well, I guess you could call it the third floor. There's that little tower there and the roof pieces. And I used that from the Pets cats and dogs. I use that from the cats and dogs pack. So yeah, so I Googled, after I finished Googling Victorian bathhouse, I went back to Victorian home and I just found a picture that I liked, and I kind of built this house inspired off of that. The one I found on Google was like bright red, and I said, no, 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 no. I might have painted it red at first, but I didn't like it, so I changed it to blue. The pillars, they're kind of like old looking, they're like cracked and kind of dirty, and I will change those to a cleaner white here in a bit. So the house, like, I could have used like the water stains and the cracks in the walls and the holes in the walls and all that stuff that comes in the vampires pack. But I really didn't want to go for like that sort of vibe. Like, I just wanted a nice, clean, like well-preserved Victorian house. That's what I was going for in this one. So putting this roof around the porch was interesting. Like, I've seen other people do it in videos, but I can never quite get it to work like in the past, but I finally got it to work okay in this one. But then it was a bit too high, so I tried to lower it, and it was a whole ordeal, because I wanted the windows from the vampire pack to fit there, but with the roof being there, they wouldn't fit without clipping into the roof. You can see that I'm trying it here. So I decided instead to make the walls taller. But when you make the walls taller, the pillars no longer can go from the bottom of the bottom floor up to the top of the top floor. They're too short, and it won't let you extend them any further. And that was really frustrating. Apparently you can't have everything. You can't have the taller walls and the tall pillars. So I had to double stack them, which I don't think looks as good, but I wanted the windows to fit. So it was one of those things where I had to decide which I wanted to give up, and I wanted to give up the tall pillars so that I could get the windows where I needed them. So my windows are pretty much done. I'm just kind of double checking them, moving a few around, getting rid of a couple, because I don't want too many windows, but I also don't want too few so that the inside's not very well lit. You gotta strike that good balance when you're building houses. Usually I struggle with the stairs, but this time I actually got it pretty quickly. I didn't have to like move it around to 80 different locations. So the stairs are really long because I used the medium wall height, but they happen to fit just right here in this corner because I wanted that little jut out on the side to be the bathroom. And so if by making the first part of the stairs like really short and then the second part going up longer, I was able to put it there so that there was just a one little tile wide space so that I could put the door there to get into the bathroom. And that made me really happy. So it looks like we are done with all the basic house stuff. I'm adding lights so that I can see what I'm doing. At first, I tried to add like all of the vampires' lights. So, like candles, basically. And so I had like the chandelier in the foyer, the chandelier in the living room, and then I was putting these wall lights throughout the rest of the house. And one, I don't really like wall lights. I will use them every once in a while. Like I'll sometimes put some under the kitchen cabinets in the kitchen just because it kind of lights it up a little bit better. I'll put them in the bathroom sometimes, like above the mirror. But in general, I don't like them. Sometimes I'll put them down hallways too. But anyway, I put all these wall lights in when I don't even really like wall lights. And I also hate yellow lighting. I can't stand it. It looks terrible. And it's dark and dank and gross and ugh. So I went through and I deleted all the wall lights. I think I kept one of the chandeliers. Yeah, I don't think I even kept both of them. I kept the one chandelier in the foyer. And so everything else just ended up being the saucer lights, like it always does for me. I swear. My lighting has to be like bright and white. And most of the lights in The Sims are not that. So I'm sorry that my lighting choices are bland and boring and not even pretty because the saucer lights are just little circles. But you can see, and that is what is important to me. All right, I'll step off my soapbox here. So, the kitchen. I wanted the fridge right there between those two windows, but of course they're not centered, so I couldn't get the cabinets to, actually fit the way they usually do, the way they're designed to, around the sides of the fridge. So instead, I used two of the end cabinets and I put them there, and then I just plopped the fridge on top of it, and it looks really nice. I don't know if it functions though. So if you decide to, if you happen to get onto The Sims and happen to search for me on the gallery and happen to download this, it may not work. So I guess you'll just have to move the fridge. I keep trying to say stove. You'll just have to move the fridge. Not a big deal, but it looks nice. Oh my gosh, the living room was so tiny. It's so cramped. Probably doesn't help that I put 2 couches in there, but whatever. But yeah, and then I went and put in that giant round table. I don't know what I was thinking, really. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It's just very tight. I'm terrible at decorating foyers, by the way. I'm like, this is just a room with literally no purpose other than to, like, enter the house. So what do you put in a room like that? So I put the suit of armor, because, if it's a Victorian style house, it needs a suit of armor. And then I think I put that side table, and later I put a coat rack. So it's pretty sparsely decorated, but like I said, what do you really put in a foyer? I don't know. I've never lived in a house with a foyer. I also decided that since it is a Victorian house, that it needed clawfoot bathtubs. So both the bathrooms got clawfoot bathtubs. The one downstairs is just the bathtub. The one upstairs off of the master bedroom will also have a shower. Oh, and the curtains. I tried the vampire curtains, like, downstairs, but they were all so dramatic. Like, they're, like, huge and heavy and bulky, and I did not want to deal with it. So I used these lighter curtains, and of course they don't quite fit over the windows where you would want them to. So I had to like put them high up on the wall, and then I used Alt-0 to lower them down, and then you just kind of like wiggle your mouse around until they pop into place where you want them. It's really obnoxious, honestly, and I wish that Alt-9 and 0 worked better for objects like the curtains, but I guess I'll just keep on wishing, because that'll probably never be fixed. But anyway, so I did have a small office upstairs, and because it's an older house, it got an older computer. That's how we roll here. Old houses don't get fancy new technology. There are so many items in this pack that I would just never ever use anywhere else. It's funny because I love Victorian style houses, like the houses themselves. I love them. They're absolutely gorgeous. But then, like, from the outside, but then you go inside and I lose all interest. I don't like Victorian style floors. I don't like the wallpapers. I don't like the furniture. Like, love the exterior, hate the interior. So yeah, all the items in this build, never use. Like the curtains, ugly. That bed, ugly. The dresser, ugly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anybody who likes this style, but that's just my personal preference. But it was fun to build with it anyway. It was enjoyable to kind of, once again, step outside my comfort zone, build something a little different than what I would normally build. Like, if you want to talk interiors, I love, like, the style from Cats and Dogs, like the items that came in that pack. That's really nice. I also really love a lot of the objects that came with Snowy Escape. I don't know. Those are probably my favorite. As far as objects for kids' bedrooms that came with vampires, the only option you have is that bassinet. But I didn't want to do a baby room because there's not really as many options for furniture that makes sense in a baby room because, the babies in The Sims are objects. They can't really interact with anything. So I went for a toddler room instead. I kind of used like little creepy toys, kind of did a blue and purple theme. Got the little alien there and the tentacle Tom or whatever he's called. So one half of the room is kind of dedicated to toys and playing, and the other half is like your reading, your clothes, like basic childcare type things. Oh no, I just realized that I forgot to put in a toddler potty. Oopsies. But anyway, that's not hard to add. But yeah, so both sides of the room are kind of separated by the bed there. You know what else I forgot? I forgot a mailbox. I don't know, usually when you enter the lot, it has like the mailbox like in the corner of the lot. So it might be on the lot. It's just not up near the front of the house if it is. But I don't know. I don't remember seeing it, so I don't think there's a mailbox on the lot. At least I remembered the trash can in the kitchen. That's something. And I'm pretty sure I remembered the fire alarm. I think I put it above the stairs. Seriously, look at me struggle with these curtains. I wish it was easier. Most of the house wasn't really like a creepy Victorian vampire type deal, but I did really like that skull in a jar, so I threw it on top of the fridge. Usually I put cookie jars on top of the fridge. This time there's a skull jar on top of the fridge. Sometimes you just gotta switch things up. And since it was an old house, I was like, radiators! Radiators are perfect! So I put one in every room. Every room gets a radiator! Aren't we excited for dry heat? I remembered here that kitchens generally have sinks, so I added a sink. You're very welcome. It will make doing dishes much easier. I could not find a place to put this trash can, okay? So I put it in front of the radiator, and then I'm just like imagining living in a house where the trash can is right in front of the radiator. So it's gonna be like really hot, so it's gonna make the trash stink a whole bunch. And it was a terrible choice, like if you were to think of it in real life terms. But lucky for us, here in a minute, I will move the table a little bit in the kitchen, and I'll move the radiator to the diagonal wall right behind it, and that'll give us plenty of room to leave the trash can over there up against the wall without the radiator beside it. Landscaping in this world is always a challenge. I say that, but I think I've only built in it like twice before. Anyway, so I looked around and there's a whole bunch of those mesquite trees or whatever they're called. So I put a couple of those down, and I was looking at my other options, and the options were not great. We had some dead bushes and some ferns. We had some vines, like those creepy vine things. And that was really about it. I kind of played around with the idea of adding other stuff, like the hedges and the low-lying flowers, but none of it really fit. So what I did instead was I used cheats to look at the debug options. So in case you didn't know, to look into debug options, you type bb.showHiddenObjects and bb.showLiveEditObjects. And between the two of those, it will show you all of the hidden debug objects that are available. So I turned both of those on and then got rid of the base game filter so that I could look at just vampires. And a lot of the options in there were really the same as the regular ones, except they were bigger. Like the ferns were bigger and the dead bush was bigger. And I was like, this isn't really what I'm going for. I could just size those up with the regular objects that I have available in game. But I did find this cool little purple plant, so I threw in a couple of those, and after that I decided that I was done landscaping. So I added some dirt under the trees and under the plants, and I threw down like some terrain paint, leading from the road up into the house, and that's pretty much the whole house. So we'll be going into the slideshow here in a second. So thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Drop a comment to let me know what you thought. Hit subscribe if you want to know what we're up to next time. I do speed builds every Friday, so I will see you all then. Thanks. Bye-bye. my goodness, I forgot to tell you guys to look for the duck again. Let me know in the comments what room the duck is in. Thanks guys, bye.